There we go. And with that, welcome everybody, and over to you, James.
All right, thanks, Max, and welcome everyone to our April webinar. And glad you're here. And yeah, looking forward to sharing with you today everything that we're doing. Last time that we talked, yeah, it was we were right in the middle of a lot of new AI stuff going on, and we're super excited about it. So, Max, if you could go to the next slide. All right, so. Today, one spring, I think, for everybody, except maybe our Canadian friends. I know your winter hangs on really tight, but it can vary wildly. But spring has pretty much sprung for most folks. Some are in nectar flows or no flows, and others are anticipating that. So we're going to talk a little bit just about from the HiveTracks home base here at Faith Mountain Farm, kind of what we've been doing and seeing how that tracks with your season and yeah, where you are in the beekeeping calendar. Again, we all know that it flows sort of the same for most folks, but it's just shifted in terms of the weather and the climate in your area. And we'll talk a little bit again about how you should be using HiveTracks this time of year. What are kind of best practices for you to get the most out of the application? And then, of course, what we're all looking forward to is this AI voice inspections feature, and that's just kind of a tip of an iceberg, is how I would describe that in terms of what's coming from from the AI side and what we're doing with it. And I want to leave enough time for further discussion at the end around that. And we've got some questions from you all, and it's really a fluid, uh, fast changing time right now with the AI as you can imagine. So we're going to have a robust discussion, I think, about that. I'm happy to have it. We want to have it. So all right, so Max, let's go to what's happening in our world. Well, since our last meeting in March meeting for us, we were coming out of a pretty good winter that we had had, kind of typical March wild swings, but then April has turned into mostly warm and dry, especially in the southeast and in North Carolina. We still had a few, you know, cold nights here at our farm, given where we are in the mountains, but overall it was warm. So, what about for you? Let me know in the chat kind of how was your spring? What's your spring been like? Has your nectar flow started yet? So have that going in the chat while I'm sharing kind of where we are with our spring here in Northwest North Carolina. For those of you who are new, if you're looking at a North Carolina map, if you look in the top left corner of the map where it butts up against Tennessee and Virginia, that's where I'm coming from. And again, I'm in the mountains of North Carolina. So next slide, Max. Um, Late March was a time here for us to, in my area, started looking towards spring buildup. Not quite there yet. In the picture on the left shows some hives that were overwintered, and I had doubled them. The way I run my operation, I doubled them up to let them grow, and then I split out of those. You can see the weather. This was a week and a half ago. This weather in the middle coming from my weather station. It was summer-like weather. And then at the end of that little window, you can see that we had a big shift in the weather. And that 25 degrees was last week, one morning. Thankfully, it didn't freeze too much of the tender things, although it was definitely cold here. So again, for most of North Carolina, I know looking at socials and things from the rest of North Carolina, it's been warm and dry. A lot of concerns about drought. Even, I mean, we're in sort of extreme drought conditions until right now. A big storm just came through overnight. I got 6/10 of an inch over the weekend. We got some as well. So I think we're at least biting into that drought a little bit. So again, at the beginning of this month, started looking at growing hives, making splits. Next slide, Max. So again, one of the ways to measure that change of seasons is what's blooming, and I will advocate again for you using the HiveTracks app to record blooms. So over this last month, dandelions, fruit trees, dead nettle. So there's blueberries, and that's a plum tree. Apples are still kind of hanging on here, it's still blooming a little bit. So that's where we are. Most folks, again, outside of the mountains, are already into their big spring nectar producers. Your tulip poplar, black locust, and blackberries are blooming just a half an hour from me down the mountain. All those nectar sources are going right now. Um, so next slide, Max.
Yeah, I'm
With
just
all
wanted
these,
to pause here real quick.
yeah,
There's a bunch of stuff in the chat going on. So we
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah. No, talk about it.
Durham, Dry, Poplar Flow. They pulled 9 frames. Wet, but Flow is going strong. Coastal
Gotcha.
Carolina, it's also in a drought particular area. Nectar Flow is just starting. Then we have Northern Virginia, weather roller coaster, high 80s for day, then down to 27 at night, 40 at night, 60s,
Yeah.
70s during the day. And then Northern Ireland is in flow.
Yeah, and one note on there's been a lot of discussion about the drought and the impact of drought on flows and that sort of thing, and that's a longer discussion. But I will say one of the most important factors for honeybees, of course, in foraging is weather. They need warm and no rain or minimal rain to go out and collect nectar. And so, all things being equal, for a lot of nectar sources, especially your tree sources like your tulip poplar, and locust and things like that, that they are not as susceptible to drought, and so the good weather kind of outweighs the drought. But if you're doing field or crops, or your bushes and blackberries, things like that, those are more susceptible to the drought. But for me, good weather, warm weather, sunny weather is like optimal. That's what you want, assuming the nectar's there. So, all right, next slide. So, of course, with this warm weather and dry weather and pollen coming in, your hives are going to start booming. And these were some clearly that were growing well and in need of splitting. Again, which is part of my practice with my operation, is to replace losses with splits and do that in various ways. But again, these are just full, single deeps that are ready either to be add space to, or to pull frames out and make splits and that sort of thing. Next slide. So once we made these splits, and again, I think at our last webinar, I had just made some splits, and so that was literally a month ago, 4 weeks ago. Those splits put in the yard. You can see here's a note, all queens released. So adding queens to these, and these are mated queens being added. And the result of those queens being released are nukes that look like this. I mean, these are busting out very close to wanting to swarm. I was a little slow on getting these out of these nuke boxes, transferring them into singles. But again, mission accomplished over the last 4 weeks. Made those splits. The warm weather helped us out in growing those splits out, and they are just in really nice shape for going into the hives. And I've been doing that this week, trying to stay ahead of the fast growth of these hives. Next slide. Of course, one of the things that you're doing at this time of year with this growth is you're monitoring, your brood. You're monitoring for signs of swarming. You're having to, if you're requeening or if you're putting new queens in, you're always looking for eggs. That bottom right picture again illustrates how nice your phone camera can be in terms of recording eggs, making beautiful pictures. The top picture there is, if you can't see it, it's a queen cell that's been released. So something happened in that hive, probably a swarm or a supersedure. And the two frames of brood, this is actually a front and back of the same frame, which is really interesting. The coloring is different on each side, but this is one of the nukes that I was transferring, which is a fun thing about transferring nukes. You get to see everything in a hive. I think it's a great tool for beginners, especially, is looking at a nuke because you can see everything in a pretty compact space without too many bees. I mean, that those nukes I showed you before, those were a bit challenging to transfer. But anyway, the looking at nukes and that just slab of brood right there was phenomenal. It's what you want to see. You know, your hive's getting ready to explode when you have that. All right, next slide, Max.
Yep. There you go.
All right, so that's kind of where we've been just building bees for me. And in the app, what did I need to do for capturing that, and what should you be doing? Well, if I got a couple of new apiaries during this time, so added a new apiary, new hives that I'm getting, add those in there, the source of those. So again, these that I just showed you, these were splits. I have what hive it came from, where the queen came from, what kind of queen is in there. And again, all those are important for long-term tracking of success, of outcomes from splits or from queen lines, things like that. And then recording frames of bees, that tells you, is your hive progressing and growing the way it should grow? And it's just a good metric to track. Also, since we're in this growth time, and I know off the mountain y'all are in full blown swarm season right now, uh, are you recording swarm signs? Are you recording that you had a swarm? Those are all critical in the decision making process that you make as a beekeeper. And then, of course, nectar flows, recording those as well. Next slide. All right, so this is one I just wanted to show you another way that I grew my hives. It was kind of an experiment. I like to experiment. We're all one big experiment anyway as beekeepers. And so I had a bunch of queens coming in and I needed bees to go with them. And I had been splitting pretty aggressively, so I didn't have a lot of extra bees to go with these queens coming in. So instead, I ordered a bunch of queenless packages. So just essentially bulk bees. And so you can see this stack of, you can see on the top QL that says queenless on top of those boxes, and then I added queens to them, and yeah, installed queenless packages with my own queens that I wanted to add to them as a way of increasing my numbers. And so again, there in that you can see the picture. All the packages are queen right now. The queens are out and laying, and again, those are all record keeping things that I need to be aware of as a beekeeper. So, all right, next slide. So again, these are the things that you're looking for. You're looking for your brood patterns. You're looking for that, like the bottom right, there's a nice pollen frame. And then the queen cell emerge. All these are signs that as you're monitoring, as you're looking at your hives, you want to record these again to go into your decision making process. And again, HiveTracks is the thing there that helps you to do that. And obviously taking pictures. I mean, you can see I'm a big advocate of taking lots of pictures. All right, next. All right, so I had this slide in last month's webinar, but I think it's good to repeat the best practices and these numbers. I'm trying to get them stuck in my head of how many bees per frame, the bees per pound. I've got that one, brood per frame. Those are really good numbers to just kind of marinate in and get it in your head of when I have a frame of brood, what's that going to translate into frames of bees? Okay, so again, this is just a repeat for if you're coming back to look at this, these are things that you need to record in the HiveTracks platform, and especially that source of your bees and the queens, the queen breeds, and the emphasis on different kind of genetics and different characteristics of the queens now with varroa sensitive and things like that. Those are critical to us better understanding. So new things, next slide, Max. Right now to add in is uh, record swarming behavior. Is this particular colony swarmy? Is it really triggering swarm behavior? And recording that. I had several nukes that or splits that I made, and some of them were more susceptible to swarming than others were. I mean, there was that one I showed you that was probably 2 inches deep of bees in this 5 frame nuke. they had one little queen cup is all they had made. And then I had another one that wasn't even filled out that much, and they had already started making queen cells. So again, there's variability across the across your colonies, and so recording that's important. Of course, nectar flows and when they start, when they stop, how strong they are. Those are all historical data that you will want to have next year. And then, as said before, continue to document what's blooming, when it's blooming, that sort of thing. All right, next. So here's a couple little oddities from the last month as well. Uh, so the picture on the left, I don't know if anybody recognizes that or not. It's autumn olive, and it's pretty invasive shrub bush in the mountains. And I just found this up in on my land, and I didn't know it was there. But I've been looking at all wildflowers and things, and this one is one that's notable because it is a big nectar source for honeybees, and will have an impact if it begins to, take over. And then on the right, I've begun to nerd out on pollen. I don't know if any of you uh, have looked at pollen very closely, but I'm in a season right now with my beekeeping. I've started trapping a little bit of pollen, and it is fascinating. In this picture, I just divided out the colors from a sample of the pollen from my trap. And again, that's another way to help educate and understand kind of what's in the environments around you. And you know that that's part of our DNA as HiveTracks is we believe in the holistic, you know, environs of your hive and understanding that and promoting, healthy ecosystems with the bees. And so looking at the pollen, understanding what's going on with pollen, what's blooming in your neighborhood is all part of being a good beekeeper. Next, Max. All right. So with that, we're going to come to the transition over to the voice inspection, AI voice inspection. But just a reminder that so HiveTracks Pro is our web-based version. It's the paid version. We're putting a lot of new features in there as well. And so some of the things are divided, in the mobile and web. The web is easier to get it into, and it's faster for us to get it into that space. And so there's a lot of new stuff showing up there, and including a revamped analytics page, weather center, weather station integration. We talked about that last time. Several of you asked for that, or could you do it for my station type? And I've been exploring that. About got all the wrinkles for the WeatherLink version. QR codes for hives, that's very close to being in there. Photo gallery, again, all these things are a lot of stuff that we're working on in the background that's going to be coming out soon. So over to you, Max, for the main attraction.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, James. We're getting a few things in the chat here already. So first off, I'm incredibly excited to be joined here today. We got both Franco, who you may know from some of the support emails, who's on the call, and Michael, our CTO, who has been pushing and has been at the forefront of making AI work and turning us AI native, which I'm quite excited about. And then we have a few questions in the chat here that I'd like to get on. So we're taking some notes, David. We're seeing, yep, we're working on the decimals in the app to be able to ensure that the mite counts are a little bit easier to be added. We are always taking new questions on hive types. So adding the national hive type is another really good one. APIs for broodminder info. That is also, we hope to have some updates for you later this season, looking at different integrations. And the other one is we just launched the analytics page, which is the first version to understand more longitudinally what happens throughout the season. And I saw a really nice question from Mike. How does HiveTracks keep track year to year when supers are added? That is something that we're looking at as well to be able to compare again what was happening this time compared to last time. The swarming, David, the easiest way to record that right now is to use the other record. It is actually the but bite the tears. Nice one, Troy. Um, so swarming, to record a swarming, it is the easiest way to use the other record. You can name the other record however you'd like. It's actually, I think it's number two, the second most popular record used on HiveTracks at the moment to customize it. James has had bear encounters, for example, and other things. So anything that doesn't fit the preset records can easily be taken care of with the other record and naming it. James is getting, are you getting ready with your phone, James? So we are incredibly excited. We had talked a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit about this last time. And again, ever since, for years now, this was whether we were at a conference, whether that was at Navi or somewhere else, people have been asking for the voice inspection, right? When would it be possible for this? I may not be able to use my hands, or I'm either gloved up or it's full of propolis. What are ways to make the data entry easier? And we have had voice to notes quite a bit, so the ability to dictate your notes into it at the end, but we were waiting for the right moment to go one step further and to allow that the full inspection can be recorded as voice, and then that the transcript gets translated into the actual the Hive inspection. So it follows the same pattern that you are used to, that we are used to in doing the inspection. So we're going through population size, food stores, brood pattern or brood stages, and then any kind of stressors. So the inspection, the voice inspection, as we've been testing it, and James is getting ready to be out there, is really the ability to have a free flow conversation with the app. And most of these, it can take, there can be a 30-second or a minute long inspection. We had somebody tested, a beekeeper tested over the weekend who did a 45-minute inspection. So it was a really long one, but that worked as well. Um, so we were looking at, okay, where do we put the inspection flow and where do we put the recording? And we decided to put it where all of us already go to record the inspection. So as you can see on the screen here on the left, it is uh, right on top. It has this big button that says record inspection. And then the moment you hit play, the recording stops and you can talk to it. So mentioning which hive are you in, describing what you see and what you would like to keep as notes. And then you either pause your recording or you can mark it as done. The moment it is marked as done, then it starts processing in the background, right? So there's a button that appears that says go back to my hive. So you're then able to go back to continue to add other records, add anything you would like to do. And it does it in the background and then uploads it for you and creates an inspection record based on it. And this is something that we're learning as we speak. I mean, we're doing inspections every day and trying to understand like how this best works. We had a few questions in this regard already. So there's a few things. I have a thick German accent, so sometimes there's a word that it doesn't capture perfectly well. But it's very easy to then update the inspection after the fact. So it's really meant to be a way to make it easier to record. I've really tried to do an inspection in under 10 seconds, which was hard. But it's, that's about the minimum you can get it down to. And it makes just data entry so much easier. And the beauty is that it saves the data in the right way so that you can continue to use your analytics, you get the right form, and you get nice continuity in your data. I am now gonna, let me see where James is. James Mobile. You should be unmuted, James. I just did a request. Yep, can you hear us all right, James?
Yes. Can I have video too?
Yep, I'm making you um, host here. Does that work for you, James?
Um, let's see. It's not letting me, it's not letting me do video. I'm
Okay.
unmuted, but I'm not getting anything else. So
Yeah, 1 second.
maybe I'll just go grab my laptop and walk around.
Yeah, let's do that.
That'll work as well.
And then James, try again from your phone now. I just enabled the video.
Okay,
There we
there
go.
we.
Nice.
Can I share screen now, or is that too much?
Try it out.
Well, I'll just do it from this angle if that. Are you getting me my video?
Yeah, can you share your screen?
Yeah, let me see. Oh, there we go. All
Nice,
right.
coming through. Yeah.
All right. So, hey everybody, I'm right outside my living room house here, and these are a couple of hives that I have just actually installed packages in last week. Um, I got a couple of more of an experiment, some Saskatraz queens from Olivares, and I think they're through Hilco and their packages, which they were remarkably well done in terms of the bees. And mail order of bees is not typically very good, or hasn't been. Um, Actually, fun story. My dad started bees in 1964 with a package of bees from Sears and Roebuck. That's how my dad got into bees and how I kind of started beekeeping myself. But so, for example, on these two hives, I've just installed these bees last Thursday, so 5 days ago. And if I am going in to do an inspection on those, which is we were going to do that, but the weather, it just rained a lot and it's still a little cool. So I didn't want y'all to see me getting stung. And so if I were going into these, I imagine what I'm looking for, a newly installed package. The queen should be released, and hopefully she's laying eggs. So those would be the kinds of things that I would be looking for. And so when I do an inspection, like a voice inspection, I can just hit that record button as Max showed you um, on the slide there, and I could just talk, and I would say, I saw eggs, the queen was released, they're drawing out comb on one frame, they're bringing in pollen, there's fresh nectar. I would just describe what I saw and hit the end of the recording, and then it translates that. It doesn't, it transcribes it. I saw the question there, does it transcribe? Yes, it transcribes, but it also takes that data and makes a formal inspection record out of that data. So it populates the fields of our inspection record with the data that it extracts from your conversation. So again, it's not full on driven by your voice, but it is a step in the direction of that, and it builds the record itself from what you say in your conversation, and so that is a way to essentially address this hands issue, or partially address it. Um, and again, the fields that are in the HiveTracks inspection form, those will be filled out with the information from your voice inspection. If you happened to leave something out or it just had an empty field or whatever, you can go back later and edit it. But again, it's a way to uh, keep you from having to push all the buttons in the inspection and to have a placeholder, if you will, or a way of having that inspection in there. Um, let me see. Uh, if I can
And
share.
yeah, Franco just messaged me and said that 16 people. So again, Franco, if you could reshare the link in the chat for the people who want to get early access. Um, and this may be a good question for Michael. Does the AI inspection require an internet link for the recording? So there is the form once more. I'm gonna. Can you put it in the chat for now, Michael?
So Michael's our creator. And so definitely the nitty-gritty technical questions, he has full knowledge of that. Um,
Yeah, and Michael just posted this is great so for everybody. So you can use the AI feature in the field even if you don't have internet, which can be spotty in some of the apiaries. And then it gets synced back up when you're online. Are you able to pull up the app, James, to give it a try?
yeah, that's what I was. Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet. We can still
Okay,
hear you.
let's. Oh, yeah, Uh, it's not letting me do that.
Can you run it in the background?
Oh, yeah, it's a setting on my. I've got a new phone and it's got some protections things going on. Unfortunately. Oh wait, maybe. How about now?
How? There we go. Nice one, James.
Hey.
There I am.
All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So here we go. I'm gonna go into my HiveTracks app, and then oops, I'm going to go to this particular hive. This is in Faith Mountain Farm production. You can see I named them Sask Primal and Sask Ultimate. It's actually got one of those Ultimate Hive things underneath it. And so if I go to inspection, you see I've got the record inspection here at the top. It's got the date. It's populated with SAS Primal. It's the current weather. You see 56. It's kind of iffy. Don't want to go in there right now. But if I click record inspection, so now we're on the audio page and I just click this red button. Sask Primal Hive inspection. The queen has been released from the cage. She is laying eggs. Eggs were seen. The queen was seen. They are drawing comb on one frame. There's fresh pollen and fresh nectar. Eggs is all that I see. No other stressors. So now that I've given that description of the inspection, you come to this page and it is doing the processing and it takes a little bit. And even on this page, you can see and go back to the hives. So if I go back to there and I look here, you can see the voice inspection and there's a little circle there where it's being processed, right? So that's it. And that voice inspection will then be populated. You can see down here, there's another inspection that I did earlier, testing it out, and that was created from the voice inspection. So all those fields are now populated based on what I said in that voice inspection. So
16 people in the form right now. Franco, if you could share the form one more time, that would be super helpful. Um, and just so everybody can get their name on there and making sure that the people who would like to get early access can get early access. And with that, we're gonna open it up for some questions. And I'm also gonna make sure that, yeah, there's the link once more, and we have restarted the recording. And then Michael, I'm gonna unmute you as well. There we go. Michael, can
Hello.
you hear us?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
we can
we
hear you.
got you, Michael.
Wonderful. So Michael is with us as well.
Thanks.
So we're perfectly prepared to take the questions. And I think there is the first ones here. Are there key beekeeping words that can be optimized so that the voice recording understands what I'm saying? Demery, nuke, brood. Any thoughts on that, Michael?
Yes, certainly. So, for anyone who is AI fluent or has been playing around with ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, uh, all we're really doing is we're turning that audio file into a transcript, which is text, and then we are passing that into an LLM that will spit back out the records that we think we ought to create based off of the transcript. And so, if you're familiar with prompts at all, that's our main leverage point for giving it a particular jargon or glossary of words that might be said that wouldn't normally be expected. And in the same way that way we can cue it, right? That way the robot can be cued and say, uh, if it's a nuke or something, a word that might have other sounds or meanings in a more general context, that we can give it the domain specific meaning.
Wonderful. And then also keep the feedback coming. I have a direct question for you, Michael. The info is stored locally. Does that mean on my phone? Also, is there a minimum or optimal phone to be used?
Sure. Yes. So locally means on the phone itself in tech jargon, and the workflow in its ideal state. And again, we're still in the early phases here, but its ideal state is that you will be able to make that recording, and there's no connection to the internet to do that. Your phone is taking your voice, the sound of it, and putting it directly into a file on the phone itself. That doesn't require talking out to any servers or motherships or whatever it may be. And once internet connection is restored, the phone can then send that file off to the AI servers, our servers, to process it.
What?
So you can make that recording, but nothing will happen. You will get a little card in the app that says your recording was recorded, but you won't get a new inspection card record or a new or any of the updates until you've synced back up with the servers.
Wonderful. There is the second part of the question. Is there a minimum or optimal phone to be used?
Yeah, so that question is what's the right word? It's the answer is whatever gets the highest quality audio stored onto the phone is relevant. So some phones are better than others at noise cancellation. I would hope that a lot of you don't have to deal with noise cancellation when you're working on your hives. But if you do, then the same hardware that would make any phone call, if you're talking to someone on the other end, come through crisp and clear, would also benefit this. However, AI is actually pretty good at dealing with noisy environments. And other than that,
Zoom's
the
pretty
phone
good
doesn't matter.
itself of filtering out background noise. Uh, Max, I can take that next one. The QR code question of that one's in some sort of staging build at the moment, and testing. So that's going to be out there pretty soon, I think. Um, and along with several other issues that we or new things that we've wanted to do. What type of phone do you have, Michael? Uh,
Yeah.
I'm on a Pixel 10, by the way. That's what I just upgraded from a Pixel 7. I love their cameras; they're phenomenal. Uh, all right, next question. Have the app generate some suggestions on what you do based on what you find during your inspection? Absolutely. That one's kind of an easy, low-hanging fruit. We have something in there already that's hard-coded in terms of how you answer the questions in the inspection of certain conditions that trigger suggestions or things that you need to look out for. And so with the AI in that, we've been experimenting with having it evaluate an inspection and tell us what it thinks, and it's doing pretty darn well with that. So I anticipate that being added, and as a uh, enhancement of that, you can even, I've been playing around with this of saying, okay, here's my current situation in my apiaries. Where should I go visit next? What should I do? Kind of giving me a priority list of workflow, even for my hives. And the yeah, the AIs are doing pretty good with that as well. So that's another kind of one that would be super beneficial. And Max, that last one, that's something we built out for a while. Can you export your data? Yes. And so that's you can download your data in a spreadsheet type form. So
Wonderful.
other
Thank you,
question?
James. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have another question in the chat here. Michael, this is more for you, I think. It seems the operating system of the phone is irrelevant. The laptop version is the one doing the AI part. Is that correct?
You can think of this instead as the same way we have the database that stores the data in our infrastructure. The AI will also be running on our infrastructure, and so the laptop is not a part of this workflow. Again, if you think of it as an assembly line or something, then you start with the sound of your voice that gets recorded into a file on your phone, that gets sent to our servers that run the AI models, that gets converted to the database language. It updates the database, and finally, your phone reads from that database at the other end of the loop.
Excellent. Wonderful. Anything else, James? Anything that you have learned from like where the recording, like what we need to take into account when we do the recording? Any words we may want to use or not want to use?
Well, I think one, you want to get in a good habit of articulating your inspections, right? And what are the important things to look for? And I think that's uh, something that, given our inspection flow, we've said this over the years, we worked really hard to get what are the most important things that you need to get into your inspection. And so as you're articulating this, these are the things that you want to say something about, right? Kind of map your narrative to the record. You don't have to do it exactly, and we'll find out as we use it how well it maps and how vague you can be, and it still pick up the information. But I would say if you are aware of what it's going to turn into, that's helpful in making it be more successful and mapping well into the fields that we have in the record. And at the end of the day, you actually have the full transcript as well. So you're not losing anything. It's just picking out of that stuff to populate the fields of the records, which that is the important piece really for the longitudinal use and more of the intelligence data analysis that we can do. So it is important. Why don't we just have narrative all the time? Well, we need some structured data in order to look at it and analyze it and understand more broadly what's going on.
James, I got the first question to see if the your inspection has gone through, and if you want to pull up
Oh,
your
let me
phone and
let me look
see,
and see.
yeah. And then, yeah, nice comment, Michael. Exactly. Currently use an iPad and pencil. Yeah, a lot of people use the stylus, right, on the iPad to do that. So with your Bluetooth earpiece, that's with an AirPod or a similar Bluetooth headphone, that's exactly it, and be able to dictate. And I think the other one, as Rick was saying in the chat earlier, we're really excited about being able to do it if you have two or three hives. You can do one quickly, that process in the background. You move on to the next one, do that one, and then you have all of them ready. And then once you're in a less stressed environment, you can go back and update the inspections as they need to be. Um, and do that at the same time. While you do that, James, I have another question for you, Michael. This is a little bit of a curveball. Um, one question was, how do you stop, start, and reset the inspection hands-free?
Ooh, hands-free is something we're definitely looking at. Um, Obviously, there's a bunch of different reasons why we want that to be the case. Um, and so I'm looking currently, I'm looking at everything from hardware devices that that you can Bluetooth to your phone, so you don't have to be touching your phone directly, but you have a button or two that you can push to the 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 Siri or the Alexa wake words that you can use to control the app from just your voice. We don't currently have anything like that implemented. Um, but so I guess my recommendation right now is that uh, kilobytes are relatively cheap, so you can start the recording as soon as you'd like, and you can end the recording as late as you'd like to wrap around moments when you won't have access via your hands. I think our longest recording so far is like 50 minutes, I believe. So,
Yeah. And
so it can, that's not the expected use case. If that ends up being what you do, then please, we're excited to find out how you're using it. But
yeah, thank you, Michael. And I think this is the exciting part of this early phase. So we have at least, I think, Franco,
the
we're
lack
up
of
at,
technical capability, but for now.
yeah. Yeah, Siri start my Hive inspection. There you go, Michael. That's there's another Michael in the chat here said that. So that's the Siri start my Hive inspection or Alexa start my Hive inspection. That's what we're working toward. I think that's what we've all been dreaming about to get it fully automated like that. Um, James, any updates on your end?
Yeah, real quick. So the one I did earlier, not during the Zoom, it worked great. The one I just did during the Zoom, it doesn't seem to be finished yet or had some little issue along the way. So that's the current state of those. Um, yeah. And I had a we're coming towards the end. Any other questions? I did have just a thought to share kind of in general on the AI. And I guess maybe this can kind of be part of the wrap up as well. All this is changing very rapidly. The AI space, as if you're you know in tune with what's going on, and how things are progressing, how quickly they're changing. And so the ability to even create apps like ours are greatly enhanced now, and almost you can build your own in a sense. And so I want to sort of make an appeal and an argument for just HiveTracks and our future, what we believe and our vision is for making us still relevant, and why you would want to continue to use something like HiveTracks and the value that we're going to add. And it's really the community. It's the broader picture, the database of all of our collective experience that we're going to be able to lean on, which is something we've advocated and talked about for years anyway. But now with the AI being involved, it really does amplify the importance of the data that you're going to have to support your decision making, and not just your data, which now the AI hopefully is going to help us to capture that data more easily. That's really the goal, right? Is why would we do AI voice inspection? Because it was harder to do it just by typing in and hitting the buttons, but we can collect more data by using the voice. And then that collective data is what's going to really bring value, not only to yourself with your records, but for everybody else in the beekeeping community and the beekeeping world, even For example, the concepts of having the AI be able to look in a region, this community intelligence concept that we've talked about, that is very accessible now. I mean, I've spec'd out and kind of played around with some of that already, and it's right there. Another one of those things that if you're off doing your own little thing without, any community, then that's great for you, but it doesn't help the rest of the beekeeping community. Um, and you don't know what other people are doing, which we all benefit from knowing that information. So again, just uh, as these things are changing and new stuff is coming out, it's fascinating time. What a time to be alive! And these tools that we're able to build now and build them quickly, and it's going to have a lot of hiccups along the way as these things are coming out so quickly that we're building new stuff fast. And we need you involved in the process. That's why we're inviting you to be part of this and help us to harden it out, to make it useful, to make it be something that is going to make you a better beekeeper. So that's just my advertisement to say, hey, stay with us, and this is going to be awesome. It is awesome, and it's going to continue to be with the things that are happening. That this is just again a taste of what's coming on.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Yeah, Mark, you were asking what is the response time for a submitted bug ticket? Gunny, thank you so much for jumping in there. And yeah, less than 24 hours, I think is this that's what makes Michael proud when we're able to see that. And we're trying as fast and as hard as we can to jump on bugs wherever possible. We're doing a lot of pushes. There will be a lot more coming out this season. We know it's a busy season, and we know we want to create an as flawless experience for you all as possible. We have a few more people coming in for email addresses, so we will be reaching out later this week and next week to give access to the first people and an easy way for everybody to get to provide your feedback, right? That's all that we need now to lean in. We do have a couple things. So first, thank you everybody for joining us. There is this code with HT Pro. You get a 40% discount on an annual subscription of Pro. So the annual subscription is usually $70. With this code, it gets you down to just north of $40, and it's valid until May 15th. So yeah, be quick to take a look at it. Um, Franco, if you could share the form one more time, perfect. There it is. Make sure to add your email addresses so we can reach out and contact you. And then we will see you all again on May 26th, so a little after World Bee Day, which is May 20th. I hope you all have great plans to celebrate the day and celebrate the bees on World Bee Day the 20th. And then we have the webinar in the week after for the first harvest check-in. With that, thank you all. We couldn't do this without all of you. Thank you for taking an hour out of your time, or an hour out of your day to be with us. Thank you for your patience, and thank you so much for giving AI voice recordings and voice inspections a try. We're really, really excited to see what you feel and think about it, and can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
look
and
forward to
y'all
it.
have a great day.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Sorry for the hiccup.
Y'all take care. Bye bye.